Roll call.
Mr. Colstead,
Here.
Mr. Granata,
Present.
Mr. Nielsen,
Here.
Mr. O'Shea,
He's unable to attend tonight.
Mr. Powers.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sound like me now.
Huh?
Rough day.
Open the floor to public comments. Anybody have any public comments? Nothing? Okay. Thank you. Looking for approval of the minutes of the special meeting, February 7th, the closed session minutes of February 7th, the special meeting minutes of February 12th, the board meeting minutes of February 19th, and the closed session minutes of February 19th.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Powers,
Aye.
Mr. Nielsen,
Aye.
Mr. Granata,
Aye.
Mr. Colstead.
Aye. Evelyn, Director's Report?
Okay, several updates from our committee meeting last week, or special meeting last week, regarding the non-CDL bus. I think most of you have seen the pictures. We've had it on site, we've driven it around the parking lot and so forth, so this is what we're talking about. I'm asking tonight for your approval that we proceed with the 3-year lease. It is $7,122 a year for 3 years. That allows us 10,000 miles a year, which we don't think will come anywhere near. The point of this, as we've discussed before, is to allow us to do more trips. It's very difficult for seniors especially to get in and out of the 14-passenger van that we currently have. So we've been working with, we've decided between, we looked at Best Bus Sales and Midwest Transit, and we've decided that the best fit is with Midwest Transit. They did send a sample lease, which I forwarded to the attorneys at Paderma and to Med, and you know when you ask attorneys to look at something, they're going to find something. There were maybe 3 things, 2 of which were just simple language items that are really inconsequential. The last one is in the hold harmless clause. There was a statement that we would hold First Midwest and the bus manufacturers harmless if there were an accident, for example. And both attorneys from Paderma and Med suggested that we add language that would say something to the point of, except to the extent caused by a wrongful or negligent act or omission of the lessor. So if there's something inherently wrong with the vehicle, we're not going to take on the liability for that. We're not going to say that we can't sue
A recall
for
part.
whomever. Correct. So I will, if you are willing, this is in the director's, funding in the director's report tonight. If it gets approved, I will then work with Kevin Mansfield. We'll get an actual lease in place. We're looking at a May 1st delivery date.
Did they have any problem? Did they have any problem with us changing the language of the contract?
I told him there were a couple of language items that we were looking at. I'm still waiting for Med to give me, this language that I have in here is from Steve Kleinman at Paderma. Med was going to tweak it a little bit. I don't have that yet, and you should have it with him when he arrives.
Okay.
Last week you approved the tree removal, Smitty's tree removal for the large branch hanging over the playground area at Costner, and we had a dead tree at Bremen Heights. Smitty did come out Friday before noon. He had that branch down at Costner, so I was very happy to see that. And the other tree is also, it's gone. The other thing we talked about last week was putting some kind of surface in front of the concession stand. We have a 15-foot apron there now, but there is a grass area that people coming from Field 5, for example, if they want to go to the concession stand, they have to walk across the grass area, which quite frankly has never taken very well. It was planted just before our season opened 2 years ago, and it just never took. And it seemed fruitless to try and plant seed or anything because it's constantly gonna be this parade of people walking across it. So we had talked about putting porous paving in there. We had measured the entire area, which was a 60 by 90 foot piece, which came out to over $50,000, which you rightfully said was ridiculous. So Jen and Jerry and I went over there the other day, and I just showed some of you some photographs, and there's a drawing of the concession stand there. And what we came up with was 2 paths rather than a large chunk of anything. One path would go from the middle of the dugout of Field 5 to the center of the 2 serving windows at the concession stand. It's really more of an access path than anything else, 4 feet wide and 27 feet long. The other one would go from the middle of the dugout to the corner, kind of near the drinking fountain, where the drinking fountain is, if you can picture that. Because people, you know, when we have a tournament there, or anything, quite frankly, if they're playing on 5 and they need to go to 2, or they're playing on 2 and they need to go to 5, God forbid they should have to walk around that hub area where the electric and everything is at, so they walk across. So that path would be 76 feet, 4 feet wide. So it's a total of 412 square feet, rather than, I think we were at something like 5,400 last time. So as we discussed last week, we had Wally's Paving come out and look at the area and give us a proposal, and his proposal is $1,344, which on a dollars and cents basis looks very appealing. However, my concern is, in order to put the asphalt, 2 concerns. In order to put the asphalt in, he has to dig down 8 inches, and the asphalt is not permeable. So the water that is displaced by the asphalt is gonna go somewhere.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have puddling and a mess, which is gonna contribute to more mud. So I talked to, Jerry talked to Jay from Porous Paving, and he is gonna come out, and he had told you when you spoke to him at conference that he would do a sample. And so he's going to come out March 26th, and he's going to do the north sidewalk from the street to the sidewalk on the north side of Rosner Park. We set that up last year to replace the sidewalk because it had all cracked up. And then as we got into the season, to the time when we had time to do it, you couldn't get any concrete. We absolutely couldn't get any concrete anywhere, so we didn't do it. So we're gonna have him come and do his sample pour there. And then in speaking to him, my concern again with him was, how far do we have to dig down to put in this? The porous pave is the rubberized, permeable surface. He said a 2 to 3 inch stone base is more than sufficient, and then it would be 1.5 inches of porous paving. I also found out from him that the cost per square foot for the porous, the surface material is $5.25. The install price is an additional $3.50 a square foot. But that does not include the stone. So after my first thought was, you know, this is an exceptionally busy time for our maintenance staff, trying to get the fields ready, trying to get everything up for the spring, summer, and they've never done this before. So my first thought is to let the people who know how to do this do it. But if we have to prepare the surface and install the stone, we might want to reconsider that. But going for the worst case scenario, my recommendation at this point is that we proceed with the porous paving and add just, the cost of that would be, I have an incorrect number in there, $2,163. I think in the long run, that would be worth our money because of the fact that it's permeable. And
That's for where?
that would be the 2 pads
Okay.
in front of
At
the
Memorial.
concession stand, yes.
Okay.
And that includes installation. So If we choose not to go with the installation, then it would be less than that. But basically, because I don't know what the cost of stone is or how that whole procedure is going to work, I'm asking for not to exceed budget of $5,000 to complete that. And I don't think it'll be $5,000. Some other updates on Memorial. We were scheduled to have a tournament March 27th through the 29th. Game Day has been with us the last several years and had conducted this tournament. Given the winter that we've had and the condition, they see it in the area that they're from as well. They canceled the tournament, which we're quite frankly somewhat relieved. So that makes our opening tournament at Memorial Park April 10th. And that gives us time to work. We have contacted Dual about the broken backstop and Sportsfield about crowning the infield. I got a fax late this afternoon from Jim Walsh from Sportsfield, which I don't know what he wrote it with, but I couldn't read it. Best I can decipher is the product isn't available. The Midlo mix that they put in there isn't available yet. So, but we are on his radar, and he does have our accepted proposal. Jerry talked to Mike Peck from Dual. He said he's already been out and looked at it. He's trying to get connected with the guy that provides the lift, because that's where the biggest expense is. So I do not have a number for that.
Does he just use a scissors lift for that?
He's got to get up there quite a bit, though. I believe that's what he uses, yes.
Doesn't
Ours is not tall enough, and the village doesn't have one.
because we've gone through.
Dave Patron,
Yeah,
I can check with him.
I know he sells them or rents them.
Okay,
You know, compare the price.
all right. Meanwhile, the guys have been working at Minus. They have painted the dugouts inside and out. They have repaired the lip of the infield, picked all the weeds, and even cut the grass. So we can play on Howie's tonight if we wanted to. Jerry has been working on getting the water turned on, and I think as of late this afternoon, he was having trouble, the drinking fountain by the concession stand. When he turned on the water just shot out of there, and he took it apart, and he finally got it. So if you turned the water on at all, we couldn't stop the water from coming out of the drinking fountain. But as of late this afternoon, we did get that working. So that's good news that the water is on over there for, to get the concession stand open. The plumbing has all been reconnected in the bathroom. We cannot put the ice machine back in place until Pepsi comes out and reconnects. Does what they're doing, because that is, again, is one connected water line. Meanwhile, Jen and Angela have been working on the concession stand. We've hired actually 2 women to share the responsibility of a concession manager. And they've hired 10 staff workers for the concession stand. We decided to purchase a new popcorn machine. We have one here in the building that we've been transporting back and forth. It's kind of in the way at the concession stand because it's a floor model one, so we decided to get one for the countertop. And today the girls went to a demo day that Gold Medal was offering. I think Chuck Granada had talked to somebody from that company at conference. And so that's how they even found out about this. They saw a lot of different kinds of products. For example, we sell nachos and cheese, but you can buy it from Gold Medal in, the nachos come in an individual bag and the cheese comes in an individual container. So this guy doesn't get 100 chips and the next guy gets 25. It's a consistent, portioned amount. So we're comparing their prices to Wilkins, which is the company that we used last year, and it might be a combination of the two that we end up using. So they're working, and they'll be, putting that all together, getting the staff in there, getting them trained, and so on.
We don't have volunteers from softball?
That's in addition to,
Okay.
yes. Last Friday during senior lunch, the sewers decided to back up again inside of Grady Lodge. We had sludge coming up in both bathrooms and the kitchen. This has been an ongoing pain. We immediately called the village, and they immediately called Vanderheiden Plumbing. Guy came out, our staff was there mopping up the mess as it came up. The guy came out, and there's a clean out valve in the kitchen under right near the sink. And I stood there and watched him put the rotter in there, and within minutes, everything was just fine. It all drained, and so I said to him, we have had this issue repeatedly. I don't know if you remember last year, right about this time, we had 6 or 7 incidences between the first of the year and March, where, it's the middle of a party, and you're getting a phone call that everything's backing up. So, and each time, the same guy comes out and he rods it, and everything's good. So we have asked repeatedly, what's the problem? Last spring, they thought the problem was in the basement where the pipes came into a Y, and the village went in, and because it is their building, and they had pretty significant plumbing job done in the basement that we thought corrected the problem. And we went along from last March until maybe early February of this year, and it started all over again. And the plumber keeps telling us, well, it's because the building isn't used all the time. I'm not buying it. So I called Ron Zabo the other day, just because I know he's a plumber and he does a lot of this, and just to see what his opinion was. And at least what he said made sense. He said, if the guy's coming in through the kitchen, the pipe in the kitchen is a 3-inch pipe. So if he's putting a rotter through there, people kept asking me, what size head did he have on it? Well, I didn't see it go in. I just saw him operating it. So, but it couldn't have been 3 inches. He wouldn't have been able to get it in there. So he's going in, he's making a small opening. In the meantime, Ron's contention is that it's probably tree roots and or grease from the kitchen sink. We have those large industrial sinks, and there isn't really a good way to trap what goes down there, and people dump whatever they dump down there. So you get a small opening, because I said to him, it seems like it happens more often in the winter. We don't seem to have the problem in the summer, it always happens in the winter. He said, well, if it is grease, it could get in there and coagulate, and if there's tree roots, it's just enough to block it. So he suggested that we get the sewer line, there is a clean out right outside of the front door as well that goes from the outside of the building to the main. So Sharon contacted Public Works, and they are going to come, hopefully soon, and jet that part of the sewer from the front door to the main. And then John Zabo is going to come in and put a camera in from outside the building to the inside and see if he can see whatever's going on. Maybe if he comes from that end, there's a larger opening, he might be able to make a more significant hole in the pipe, opening for the stuff to come through. I mean, I know from my own house, we would have this problem, and people that the sewer guys that would come out would say, put this stuff down your toilet and it'll kill the roots. There's got to be something we can do routinely that can keep this from happening. Interestingly enough, from my conversation with Ron Zabo, he is involved with Bremen Township, and he said, well, we're having the same problem at their center. And he said, a lot of people throw anything down the toilet, including diapers and sanitary supplies and all that. So he's actually purchasing an inside jetter, I don't know if that's the correct term, I think that's what it's called, to do this on a routine maintenance basis, and he said they're more than happy to lend that to us. So if we do this, he suggested on a quarterly basis, we might save ourselves this continued aggravation of, because it only happens in the middle of an event. Doesn't happen on a Tuesday when nobody's there. I'm sorry?
That's when you're using the toilets.
Well, yes, that's true. But if, you know, if the other plumber's saying, well, you know, stuff is down there and it's drying up and you gotta run a lot of water at the end of the event,
No.
it just doesn't seem logical.
Can we put tape some signs on the bathroom stalls or?
Oh, we already have them, and as Ron said, they wipe themselves with that. So,
Okay. Well,
uh,
we've covered, I mean, that's all you can do.
right,
If you
yeah,
put
we
them out
have,
there.
we have had those, because the last time when this happened, it was in the middle of a party, I think it was in either
It's
late
like every
January.
other meeting we're having this discussion.
Right, right, and at that time, we ended up giving the renter their whole
Yeah,
money
yeah.
back, because, you know,
I
I
know, I'd be
mean,
unhappy.
I can't make excuses for that, it happened, it wasn't our fault, but it certainly put a damper on their party, so.
Right.
So at this point, what I'm asking for is permission or authorization to pay for the camera inspection. I think, you know, we're the ones that are aggravated, the village seems willing to keep bringing this guy out to do his thing, but it's just not enough.
Right.
The office remodel, if you didn't get a chance or didn't come in that way, please take a look before you leave. The flooring has been put in through this door and down the hallway out to the lobby. The wall's been constructed. Finance director is now housed in a locked office, and the entire rec department now is in the larger back office. It was chaotic, but it's done and it looks really good. We have been, Jen and Debbie and I met to try and come up with a plan, because the next level of this remodel, really the purpose that drove the whole thing, is the remodel of the front registration office, so we can get the front counter low enough to be ADA accessible. That remodel is scheduled to begin on Good Friday, and it should take a week. The other one took Saturday and Sunday, and Monday morning they were still painting, but other than that, you know, 2 days. Now we're looking at a week. And the front office, as you know, is that's our bread and butter, that's where everything happens. So we've come up with, I think, a workable plan. We're trying to be accessible to the public, for them to see where we are, and for us to see what's going on in the lobby and so forth. And so we've come up with the plan that we're going to move some tables they'll basically be in front of the entrance door over there. And Debbie or the gym supervisors at night can sit there. They will have a laptop computer, so they have access to Park Pro. They will have a cash drawer. They will have a phone. They will have a credit card machine. We're gonna have to string the line from inside the copy room by that little table there, so at least they can use that. Then at the end of the night, the good news is there's no preschool that week, so we don't have to deal with anything during the day. We've arranged canceled a couple of rentals so that we can continue with this. And then he said hopefully they'll be here Friday, we're closed. Saturday, the only thing we have is the Taekwondo people are in the gym Saturday afternoon, and then Sunday we're closed because it's Easter. They won't work on Sunday, but between Friday and Saturday, my biggest concern is they need to redo the wall, the front wall that connects to the lobby. The glass has to come down, the sliding window in between is gonna be replaced. That's where it's going to be lowered to, I think it's 30 inches, which is wheelchair height. Once that's done, it won't be so, I mean, they'll be in here and they'll be in the way and be noisy and all that stuff, but I think from a safety standpoint, from an operational standpoint, it'll certainly be a hiccup, but it'll be doable. And then within the week, we should be fine. In doing that and taking everything apart, we needed to have the slushing machine removed, and we've decided that we're just gonna have it removed. It's loud, it's messy. I'm not sure that it's really as cost effective as we thought it might be when we put it in. But when we planned this, we had left like a 30-inch opening there, that we were gonna leave this ugly metal table in the slushing machine. So I'm with your permission, I would like to contact the contractor and see if we can get, we would need one more cabinet and an extension of the countertop. And then the counter would go all the way to the wall. If our thought is that maybe we'd go with Pepsi, since that's who we're using at the concession stand, their machine is similar to what we have in there now, it's quieter. But when we put that into the concession stand, we drilled a hole through the countertop, put the tubes down, all the mess, the boxes and all that garbage is out of sight, because it's inside of a cabinet. We could do the same thing in here, but we would need to add a piece of cabinet and an extension of the countertop, which I don't think is, I don't know what that would cost, but I can't think that it's more than $300-400 tops.
Okay.
And then the last thing is an addition of a policy. We talked about the two policies last week, the public participation policy and the inclusion policy. And I'm also asking for a third one, which talks about the reorganization of the board. Ned and I have been going back and forth on this, but at this point, the current policy says the new people are seated at the first meeting following the election. However, that does not allow for time for a canvass to take place. By law, Cook County is now the governing body that does the canvass. Remember, each body used to do their own. We used to do our own canvass. That has been changed. Cook County is allowed 21 days to do the canvass. So that puts us beyond our April meeting. And according to the Park District handbook, they suggest that it's the first board meeting following the canvass, which would put the installation at May 21st. But the policy needs to be amended to say that it would be following the canvass of the election. So that's what and that I wrote, you have a copy of that?
The copy of what you had forwarded me,
Yes,
the one
It's on-
yesterday.
yes.
Okay, yeah. Did you happen to get my?
I did.
No, okay.
Yeah.
The only comment that I would say to each and all of that is that you've already got as part of the park code, a section that talks to the election of officers. And, I mean, as you may, well, okay, let's talk to what you got. You got a park district code. The code says what it says. The code says you elect officers. Officers serve to the next time that there's an election. You've got commissioners that are going to then be qualified and then take their office at that next meeting. The organization provision, while it says what the park district code says, and it becomes a matter of preference for the board, I don't know if it necessarily even has to be codified in the sense that you've already got the code which tells you what to do. So, dependent upon board thoughts, go forward and do it. Dependent upon, again, direction, I don't know if, or say dependent, let me just take direction out of there. You already have a guide for you, that being the park district code, which tells you exactly what you need to do. That's it.
So you're saying that our current policy says the reorganization meeting shall be held at the first meeting following the election. But you're saying that the clarification of that is already in the park code?
Yeah, well, the park code says you gotta elect officers, and the officers, and what needs to be done. Certainly that you can say, to qualify your policy statement to say that the election of officers shall be the first meeting after the election. But let's take even a step past that, and I know it's a lot of words. and it takes you past the scope of what it says under the park code. You elect officers every year. They sit and they serve till the next year. If you want to make a statement that adds to that, you would say the election of officers will be the first meeting in May. And that it can be, even a period at that point, because then the rest of it is already covered under the code, that's all. If you need to put it in today, then it would be my recommendation to just say, and you could say a reorganization. I don't even know if you need to have that as the category for it, because all you're really talking about is the election of officers. You say election of officers first meeting in May, or and basically what you're doing there when you're saying that it's May, it's the first meeting of your new year. Your new year starting, your new fiscal year starts in May to April, so you can describe it that way. Again, a lot of words, goes to the point that what I'm trying to do with all of those words is to simplify, as much as that doesn't sound.
So are you saying we should just leave the policy as is then, or?
I'm saying that you would have if whatever letter it is, it looks like it's a C. The C, election of officers. The board shall elect its officers the first meeting in May of each calendar year. Okay. And if you want to then say, comment to the procedure as followed, and you could maybe put then a comma and say cite the park code, which would be that the subsection is /4-8. If I were to suggest to you, after all of and everything that I've said, maybe if you want to table it and I can give it to you for the next meeting, that's fine. You have not done anything as far as any disruption of the district, because specifically the language of the statute, the Park District Code, says the officers serve till the next election. So you haven't, your business continues, and then we put the language in, and the language is nothing more than saying that you're going to hold the election the first meeting in May as opposed to another time.
I was just trying to clarify that wasn't happening in April, but you're saying the park code already covers that.
I'm saying that when you say it doesn't happen in April, what you are saying is that the...
Of an election year, let me qualify.
Yeah, no, that the people aren't seated.
Correct.
They're not going to be seated in April, because you have to wait for the...
21 days,
for
and that's already
elections.
covered by the park code.
Yeah.
Then we can phase
Well,
that.
park code and the election code to be specific with it, yes.
So then when we get to that point on the agenda, somebody should motion to table that piece.
Okay. Anything in rec, Evan?
The brochures are out, and registration is starting. And just a reminder to everybody, two things. The Rolling for Thunder is this Saturday at Oak Forest Bowl, starting at 9:30. We have lots of fabulous prizes. And the Bunny Breakfast is March 28th at Brady Lodge at 9 a.m. Tickets are on sale. And the Bone Hunt is the same day, and the Bunny will also be here on Monday, April 30th for picture taking.
Maintenance, safety, and security?
I have nothing.
My only concern was the tree branches, they've been cut down and removed.
Cut down and removed, yes.
Okay.
Public relations? Nothing. Finance and budget? I have nothing at this point.
I will mention that the tentative budget is on display that you approved last week. There will be a public hearing before the board meeting next month for approval
For
of
April.
2015-16 budget.
Human resources. Yep.
You, sir?
It's in there, but it's stuck to the bottom.
The winner this month is Armanda DeLusa, De La Casa. Filling in for Debbie at the last minute.
Delicasa.
And I have nothing else at this time.
Okay. And I assume that we heard the attorney's report?
Well, yeah, the only other issue that, it's not an issue, the only other matter that's in progress is that there's some language issues that exist as to the potential lease of a motor vehicle. Dermis Council's involved in that. I've been talking with Evelyn on that, and that will work itself through. I mean, there are only common sense conclusions to all of that.
Do we need to go closed session at the end?
No, we do not.
Okay. Under new business, I need approval of the treasurer's report.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Mr. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Granata?
Aye.
Mr. Nielsen?
Aye.
Mr. Colstead?
Aye. I need approval of the bill list.
I'll make the
Bid
motion.
list is at your place, and we have noted a couple of the bills were approved last week and paid.
Chuck Granata.
I'll second it.
Mr. Granata?
Aye.
Mr. Nielsen?
Aye.
Mr. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Colstead?
Aye. Approval of new policies on inclusion, citizen participation, and board bylaws.
I'll make a motion to table that.
Well, if you're gonna table, all you gotta do is table one. You don't necessarily wanna table the other guys. I mean,
Oh,
the other
we
guys.
just want to table the board bylaws?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I've got a motion to table the board bylaws. I need a second.
Second.
Second and third.
Mr. Nielsen?
Aye.
Mr. Granata?
Aye.
Mr. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Colstead?
Aye.
And you'd be looking for approval to...
I need approval of the new policies on inclusion and citizen participation.
I'll make a motion on that.
Second.
Mr. Nielsen?
Aye.
Mr. Granata?
Aye.
Mr. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Colstead?
Aye. And I need approval of the funding in the director's report.
Which includes down payment for the main office remodel of $2725, forest paving paths not to exceed $5,000, and the lease for the non-CDL bus of $7122 for each of 3 years. I do not have still do not have a price on the backstops.
I'll make a motion on
I'll second it.
Mr. Nielsen?
that. Aye.
Mr. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Granata?
Aye.
Mr. Colstead?
Aye. And
I will make a motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You are adjourned.